In this video, we're going to learn how to create a histogram graph in Microsoft Excel. We need to use this histogram graph, which is a bar graph generally, in order to see that there's a nice even shape to the data of our blocks. The sizes of our blocks are going to make a difference whenever we try to put the blocks together to make puzzle pieces and then put the pieces together to make a puzzle cube. The more closely your blocks match this mean value, then the more likely your puzzle cube is going to go together and fit together properly without being too tight or too loose. So before we get started, we need to make sure that we have this extra add-in in our data called data analysis. And you may not have this on yours. I've already installed it on mine, so let me show you how to install it on your computer. First, go to File. We're going to come down here to Options. Then I'm going to come to Add-ins. And then I'm going to come down here and click the Go button because I want to look for Excel add-ins. Go. And then you probably do not have these marked, so we're going to pick Analysis Toolpack and Analysis Toolpack VBA and click OK. And that will get us ready to go. There's another thing that we need to do before we can actually make the histogram, and that's create the intervals by which we want to count the frequency. So I'm going to come over here off to the side and I'm going to type in a title that says Intervals. And then underneath, I'm going to start with my smallest interval. I notice over here in my sample sizes that my smallest number is 0.7419, and hopefully you have sorted your numbers to put them in order. You can highlight your data points and then come up here to sort and filter, and then you can tell it to arrange them from smallest to largest. So my smallest data point is 0.7419, so my first interval is going to start at 0.7400 because they go by 4 digits. So then here, for my next one, I want to count, I just want to add a 5 to the end of this number. So I'm going to do equals, and I'm going to go up here and choose this cell. Then I want to add to it 0.005, and when I hit enter, it does that. Now you're saying, why didn't you just type that in? That's because when I click this, now I can just drag, when I've made it a formula, I can just drag the square in the bottom and I can make more data points just like it using this formula, and it will increase by 5 thousandths each time. Now I'm noticing over here that my largest point is 0.7705. And so I need to come up here. I don't need all of these, so I need to go a little more than 0.77, so I'm going to need this next interval, but I'm not going to need these two. So I highlight them, right click, and clear contents to get rid of those. Then next, just for neatness, I want to go ahead and format these cells to have 4 decimal places like this one. So I'm going to right click, format cells. This is a number, and I would like for it to have 4 decimal places. So I clicked number, and then I came over here and chose 4 decimal places. So then they all have 4 decimal places. So I'm going to count the number of blocks that go between 0 and 0.74. I'm going to count the number that go between 0.74 and 0.745. I'm going to count the number between 0.745 and 0.75. That's what I'm going to use for my histogram. So next we need to generate the data to go calculate all of those frequencies to go for our histogram. So I'm going to come up here to my Data tab, and then I'm going to choose Data Analysis. Next, choose Histogram. Then it's going to ask for your input. Where are the values that you would like to input? Let me tell you that it's really important that you have an extra space up here. Whenever I tried to start with the first one and work my way down, for some reason it wasn't calculating this number, so I had to start up here. So if you don't already have a space above your top number, you can come over here to the side, and when you get this black arrow, right click. Oh, I have to be out of here. I'm going to close this. Come over here to the side. Oh, cancel. Come over here to the side and get this black arrow and right click, and then I can say insert, and it'll insert a row above. make sure you have one up there. So now I'm going to go back to data analysis, and I'm going to choose histogram. And then my input is from here down to the very last. And then I'm going to highlight the bin range. This bin range is my intervals. I am going to choose the label. And then I have to pick an output range. Where do I want my output to be shown? And I'm going to pick this arbitrary cell right out here, and then I will click OK. Notice that it counted there are 0 blocks that are between 0 and 0.74 inches thick, because it starts at 0.7419. So that's where we see this one. So next, this is calculating how many times these intervals happen. Before I create one more thing, before I create my histogram, I need to edit this text right here so that it recognizes this as text rather than a formula or numbers that it needs to graph. So in order to do that, I'm going to click on this, and I come up here, and I'm going to put an apostrophe before it, and this is really the interval from 0 to 0.07400. This apostrophe lets it know that this is text, and I hit enter. This interval, I'm going to click up here and hit my apostrophe, is going to be from 0.7401 to 0.7450. I'm making them all have 4 decimal places, just like they're formatted over here. This one, apostrophe to show that it's text, is going to be from 0.7451, just after this number, to 0.7500. I'm going to continue. Notice my column is not wide enough, so I can just come up here and click and drag and make it wider so that my numbers fit and are better, prettier. I'm going to come up here and put some spaces in between. Let's make this look very nice and professional. Makes it easier to read with all of those numbers and decimals. Oh, I keep not clicking in the right spot. There we go. And I need a space here. So now I'm going to make this interval. It's going to be from just after this 0.7501 space to 0.7550. And then I'm going to make this one apostrophe 0.7551 to 0.7600. Almost there. Apostrophe 0.7601 to 0.7650. Apostrophe. The last one, 0.7651 space to 0.7700. And last one, but not least, apostrophe 0.7701 to 0.7750. Okay, now that I've got that all adjusted, it's going to make our histogram more neat. So let's grab these right here, and I don't need this more. And I really don't need this one either, so I can just grab this right here and say clear contents, and then it won't show up in my graph either. So then I can pick these, and I'm going to insert. I want to do a column, a 2D column, and here is my histogram that shows my intervals. Now we can click on here. A histogram really doesn't have space in between, so I can click on any bar, any one of my bars, and right click, and then I can say format data point, and then here I can adjust it and say I don't want a gap. And then it puts them close together. So now I can drag this off out of the way, put it over here, and then I notice that at my mean I don't really have a nice bell curve, would have a peak right here and would come down. So I'd really like to take some of these data points, my block that's 0.77 and bigger, and my block that's out here that's 0.74, and trade those in for something in this range so that this can come up a little higher, and then we'll have a more normal distribution area. Our blocks will fit together a little more neatly. That's how you get a histogram using Excel.